David was a man who had worked very hard all his life. From a young age, he dreamed of having a good life for himself and his family. He started with little money, but he never gave up. Day after day, he worked long hours in his business. Slowly, but surely, his efforts paid off. He became very successful. Now, David was a millionaire. He had a big house, a fast car, and everything money could buy. But the most important thing in his life was his little daughter, Mia. Mia was 7 years old. She was a bright and cheerful girl with a smile that could light up any room. She loved to play, read stories, and spend time with her dad. But David's work was very busy. Sometimes he had to travel to other cities or countries. He often worked late into the night. Because of his busy schedule, he could not always take care of Mia the way he wanted. He felt sad about this, wanted Mia to have a happy childhood full of love and care. To help with Mia, David hired a nanny. Her name was Rosa. Rosa was a kind woman in her 40s. She came from a small town far away, where life was not easy. She had a gentle smile and soft eyes that showed she cared deeply for children. Rosa's job was to look after Mia when David was not home or too busy. She made sure Mia ate well, went to school on time, and did her homework. Rosa played games with Mia, read her bedtime stories, and helped her when she was sick every day. Rosa arrived early in the morning and stayed late in the evening. She was always patient and calm, even when Mia was tired or cranky. Rosa loved Mia like her own child. She took her work very seriously. Rosa's love for Mia went beyond her job. She wanted Mia to grow up happy and safe. But Rosa's life was not easy. She did not have much money, and she lived alone in a small rented room far from David's house. Every day, she traveled a long distance to get to work. Even though David paid Rosa well, Rosa never asked for extra money. She was grateful for the job and wanted to do her best. But what no one knew was that Rosa made many sacrifices to care. For Mia, she gave up her own comfort and needs to make sure Mia was always taken care of. Rosa worked quietly and without complaint. At night, Mia had trouble sleeping sometimes. She would wake up and call for Rosa. Rosa always went to her side, soothing her and staying with her until she fell asleep again. Da-da-da-da-da-da. But Rosa did not have a room in David's big house. She stayed in the nanny's room, which was small and simple. Rosa could not afford a soft bed there. Instead, she often slept on the cold floor next to Mia's bed. She used a thin blanket to cover herself. This way, she was close enough to hear Mia if she needed help during the night. Rosa never told David or anyone about how hard it was for her. She thought her job was to care for Mia, and she was happy to do it. She did not want to cause any problems or ask for more. Rosa believed that love and kindness mattered more than comfort. David, on the other hand, was too busy to notice these small details. He trusted Rosa and thought she was comfortable in his home. He believed that paying her well was enough to show his appreciation. David's mind was full of business plans, meetings, and deals. But deep down, he cared a lot about Mia and wanted the best for her. David tried to spend time with Mia when he could. On weekends, he took her to parks, movies, and sometimes to visit his parents. Mia loved these moments with her dad. She missed him when he was away. Sometimes she would talk about Rosa and how nice she was. David smiled when he heard that. He was glad Mia had someone who loved her. One evening, David came home from a long trip earlier than planned. He wanted to surprise Mia and spend the weekend with her. When he entered the house, it was quiet. The lights were dim, and the house smelled like lavender, Mia's favorite scent. David smiled as he thought about how much Mia must be sleeping. After a fun day, as David walked through the hall, he heard soft breathing coming from Mia's room. He quietly opened the door to check on her. What he saw shocked him. Rosa was lying on the cold floor next to Mia's bed, wrapped in a thin blanket. Her eyes were closed, but she looked tired and uncomfortable. Mia was sleeping peacefully in her bed. Unaware of Rosa's sacrifice, David stood there for a moment, feeling a strange mix of emotions. He felt grateful for Rosa's care, but also guilty for not noticing how hard she was working. He realized that Rosa was giving everything she had to take care of his daughter, even if it meant losing her own comfort. For the first time, David understood that money was not enough to show appreciation. He saw Rosa not just as a nanny, but as a person with feelings, hopes, and needs. This small moment opened his eyes to a truth he had overlooked. David gently closed the door and walked back to his room, thinking about what he could do to help Rosa. He wanted to make sure she never had to sleep on the floor again. He wanted to show her that her hard work mattered and that she was an important part of their family. That night, David could not sleep. He kept thinking about Rosa's sacrifice and how quietly she had done it for Mia. He decided that the next day he would talk to Rosa and find a way to improve her life. The next morning, David woke up early. He brewed some coffee and sat by the window, watching the sunrise. He thought about his journey from a young man with a dream to a millionaire single dad. He realized that success was not just about money or power. It was also about kindness, respect, and caring for the people who helped him along the way. David was ready to make a change. He wanted to be a better dad, not only to Mia, but to Rosa as well. He believed that every person who worked hard deserved dignity and comfort. That day, David called Rosa into his office. When she arrived, she looked surprised but happy to talk. David thanked her from the bottom of his heart for everything she did. He told her he had seen how much she sacrificed, and he wanted to help her. Rosa smiled shyly, but her eyes filled with tears. She had never expected this from David. For the first time, she felt truly seen and appreciated. David promised Rosa that from now on, she would have a comfortable room in the house with a soft bed and everything she needed. He also offered to help her with anything else, like education or supporting her family. Rosa was overwhelmed with gratitude. She said she only wanted to care for Mia, but now she realized that she was also part of their family. From that day on, Rosa's life began to change. She no longer had to sleep on the cold floor. She had a warm room and a bed where she could rest well. She felt respected and valued, not just as a worker, but as a person. David learned an important lesson about kindness and gratitude. He understood that true wealth came from caring for others and recognizing their sacrifices. Mia continued to grow happily, surrounded by love from both her dad and Rosa. Their small family was stronger because of the respect and kindness they shared. David had just returned home late one night after a long business trip. He had planned to surprise Mia and Rosa with an unexpected visit. The house was very quiet, and the soft glow of a night lamp lit the hallway. As David walked down the corridor, he felt a calmness he hadn't felt in days. He thought about how much he missed his daughter and hoped to spend quality time with her. As he reached Mia's bedroom door, he heard soft sounds of breathing. Curious and careful not to wake anyone, David slowly opened the door. What he saw stopped him in his tracks. Rosa, the nanny who took care of his daughter every day, was asleep on the cold floor. She was curled up on a thin blanket, her face peaceful but tired. Mia was sleeping soundly in her bed, wrapped in warm covers. David's heart sank. He felt a sudden wave of emotion, shock, gratitude, and guilt, all at once. He had never imagined Rosa would go to such lengths, giving up her own comfort just to stay close to Mia during the night. The sight of Rosa on the floor made him realize how much she cared for Mia, and how little he had noticed her sacrifices. He stood quietly in the doorway, watching Rosa sleep. The small room was peaceful, but David knew that Rosa's choice to sleep there was not easy. He thought about all the nights she must have spent on that cold floor, sacrificing her rest to be there for his daughter. David felt a deep respect for Rosa, but also a heavy shame for not seeing her struggles sooner. After a few minutes, David closed the door gently and moved away. He needed time to think. He sat down on the couch in the living room, rubbing his face with his hands. The house was silent, but his mind was loud with thoughts. How could he have been so blind to Rosa's hardships? David thought about his busy life and how work often took over his time. He was always rushing from one meeting to another, always focused on business and money. But now he realized that true success was not only about wealth. It was about caring for the people around him, especially those who helped take care of his daughter. The next morning, David woke up early. He was still thinking about Rosa and what he had seen. He decided he needed to talk to her and show her that he cared. He wanted to thank her properly and make sure she never had to suffer like that again. When Rosa arrived, David invited her to sit with him in his study. He could see the surprise and curiosity in her eyes. David started by thanking her deeply for everything she did for Mia. He told her he had seen her sleeping on the floor and that he was very sorry for not noticing earlier. Rosa looked down, her cheeks slightly red. She had never told anyone about her sleeping on the floor. She thought it was part of her job to sacrifice for Mia, but hearing David's kind words made her feel valued and respected. David promised Rosa that from now on, she would have a proper room with a comfortable bed. He wanted her to know that her health and comfort were important to him. He also said that if she ever needed anything, she'd feel free to ask. Rosa smiled warmly and thanked David. She said that caring for Mia was her joy, but now she felt a new happiness because someone saw her efforts and cared about her too. David did not stop there. He arranged for Rosa's new room to be prepared immediately. It was a cozy space with soft bedding, warm lighting, and a small table with fresh flowers. Rosa was touched when she saw the changes. She felt at home in a way she never had before. Over the next few days, David noticed a change in Rosa too. She looked more rested and happier. Her smile was brighter, and she moved with more energy. Mia also noticed the difference and felt more at ease. The house felt warmer and full of kindness. David began to spend more time with both Rosa and Mia. He realized that building a strong family was not just about money or gifts, but about respect, love, and understanding. He took time to learn about Rosa's life, her dreams, and her struggles. He listened carefully when she talked about her family back home and the hope she had for them. One afternoon, David surprised Rosa with a small gift, a scholarship to help her take evening classes. Rosa had always wanted to learn more and improve her skills, but she had never had the chance. David's gift opened new doors for her. Rosa felt grateful and excited about the future. Mia loved seeing her nanny happy and proud. She often sat with Rosa during her studies and asked many questions. Their bond grew stronger every day. David's kindness had a ripple effect. Rosa's confidence grew, and she began to think about her own goals, not just Mia's care. She dreamed of starting a small business someday, or helping her family in new ways. David's respect for Rosa deepened. He saw her not only as an employee, but as a vital part of their family. He made sure Rosa felt included in family events and celebrations. Rosa, in turn, cared for Mia with even more love and attention. One evening, David sat with Mia and Rosa in the living room. They laughed together, sharing stories and dreams. It was a simple moment, but full of warmth. David realized that true happiness was built in moments like these, people who cared deeply for one another. This experience changed David. He became more aware of the people in his life and the sacrifices they made. He wanted to be a better employer and a better father. He began to think about how many others, like Rosa, might be working hard but going unnoticed. David decided to share Rosa's story with his friends and colleagues. He wanted others to understand the importance of kindness and respect toward caregivers and workers. He believed that every person deserved to be seen and valued. Rosa's quiet sacrifice had opened David's eyes. What he did next shocked many people because it was simple but powerful. He chose to care. Mia continued to grow in a loving home, surrounded by people who cared for her deeply. Rosa's life was better, full of new hope and respect. David learned that sometimes the smallest moments, like seeing someone sleeping on the floor, could change a life forever. David's decision to help Rosa changed many things for the better. After that night, when he saw her sleeping on the cold floor, he knew he could not let her keep sacrificing herself in silence. He wanted to show Rosa that she was important and that her well-being mattered just as much as Mia's. David believed that kindness should be shown through actions, not just words. So, the very next day, he began making plans to improve Rosa's life. First, David spoke to the house manager and explained everything he had seen. He told her that Rosa needed a better living space inside the house. Rosa had been staying in a small, simple room that was hardly comfortable. David wanted her to have a proper room with a good bed and all the things she needed. The house manager agreed immediately and started preparing a new room for Rosa. The new room was cozy, with soft pillows and warm blankets. There was even a small desk where Rosa could write or study. David made sure everything was perfect before inviting Rosa to move in. When Rosa saw the new room, she was surprised and deeply moved. She had never imagined such kindness. For many years, she had accepted discomfort without complaint because she loved Mia and wanted to do her best. But now, she felt seen and valued. It was a beautiful moment when Rosa realized that she was more than just a worker in the house. She was part of the family. David also wanted to help Rosa beyond just her living conditions. He knew Rosa's family lived far away, and she had little money to support them. David offered Rosa financial help to send money home. At first, Rosa was shy and hesitant to accept, but David explained that it was a gift and a way to thank her for her hard work. Slowly, Rosa accepted the help, feeling relieved that she could now support her family better. David also thought about Rosa's future. He wanted her to grow and improve her skills so she could have more opportunities in life. David enrolled Rosa in a night school near the city where she could take courses in childcare, cooking, and even business management if she wished. Rosa had always wanted to learn more, but never had the chance. This was a new chapter in her life. The days that followed were full of change and hope. Rosa began to attend classes in the evening after her work with Mia. She was tired sometimes, but her spirit was strong. She studied hard, learning new skills and making friends in the classes. David was proud of her dedication and made sure she had all the support she needed. At the same time, David worked to create a warm and respectful environment in his home. He encouraged Mia to show appreciation for Rosa's work and kindness. Mia often helped Rosa with small tasks and gave her drawings or little gifts to say thank you. The bond between Mia and Rosa grew deeper with love and trust. David's relationship with Rosa also grew stronger. He started to see her as a friend and equal. They shared stories over tea in the evenings, talking about their hopes, dreams, and challenges. David learned about Rosa's childhood in a small village where opportunities were few and life was hard. He admired her strength and kindness. Rosa, in turn, saw David not just as a boss but as a caring father and man who was willing to learn and grow. She felt happy to be part of Mia's life and grateful that David had opened his heart to her. One day, David surprised Rosa with another gift, a small loan to start a business of her own. Rosa had always dreamed of opening a little bakery in her hometown, selling bread and sweets made from family recipes. With David's help, Rosa felt she could finally make her dream real. Rosa worked hard on her business plan, balancing her nanny job, night classes, and her new dream. David offered advice and encouragement, sharing his own experiences from the business world. This support gave Rosa confidence and motivation. As Rosa's life improved, so did Mia's. The little girl was happier and more secure, knowing the people who cared for her loved each other. The house was filled with warmth and laughter. David noticed that Rosa's energy and joy made a big difference in Mia's life. David also reflected on his own life. He realized that success was not only about making money, but about caring for others with respect and kindness. He felt proud of the changes he had made and hoped to do more to help people like Rosa. David started to tell his friends and business partners about Rosa's story. He wanted to show them how important it was to value workers and caregivers. Many people were inspired by his words and began to think about how they treated the people who helped them. At home, David and Rosa celebrated small victories together. When Rosa finished her first course with good grades, David took Mia and Rosa out for ice cream. They laughed and talked about the future. Rosa dreamed of visiting her family soon, bringing her new knowledge and hope. David made sure Rosa had time to rest and enjoy life. He encouraged her to take breaks and spend time with friends. He understood that caring for someone was not just about work, but about balance and happiness. Mia grew up surrounded by love from both her dad and Rosa. She learned the values of kindness, gratitude, and respect. She saw how David treated Rosa and how Rosa cared for her, and these lessons stayed. In her heart, David's simple act of noticing Rosa's sacrifice and choosing to help had changed many lives. It was a reminder that even small actions could have great power. Rosa's life was no longer only about giving. She was also receiving hope, respect, and a chance for a better future. David often thought back to that night when he first saw Rosa. Sleeping on the floor, it was a moment that opened his eyes and his heart. From then on, he knew that true wealth was found not just in money, but in caring for others with kindness and respect. David's life had changed in many ways since that night. He found Rosa sleeping on the floor. What began as a simple moment of noticing another person's struggle grew into a beautiful story of kindness, respect, and hope. David now understood that real wealth was more than money. It was about the people we care for and how we treat them. Rosa had become more than just a nanny in the house. She was family. Her life had transformed from one of sacrifice and hardship to one filled with new dreams and opportunities. She was studying, building her bakery, and feeling proud every day. But the most important change was the love and respect that surrounded her. David made sure she knew how much she was appreciated, not only by him, but by Mia and everyone else in their lives. One day, David decided to share their story with the world. He wanted others to learn what he had learned, the power of kindness and the importance of seeing people's struggles. He wrote an article about Rosa, describing her quiet sacrifices and how a small act of care had changed her life. The article spread quickly. Many people were touched and inspired. Letters and messages arrived from readers who shared their own stories of caregivers who worked hard without thanks. David realized that Rosa's story was not unique. Many people worked behind the scenes, often unnoticed, yet their care made a huge difference in the lives of others. David began speaking at events about the importance of kindness and respect for domestic workers. He told audiences that success is not only about money, but about caring for the people around us. He encouraged others to notice the small things and to act with compassion. At home, Rosa continued to grow. Her bakery was doing well, and she was thinking about expanding it. She was excited to help more people in her community. David supported her every step of the way. He helped her find new customers and even connected her with a local business. Mentor Mia watched all this with admiration. She learned from Rosa's hard work and from her father's kindness. She understood that true happiness comes from helping others and treating everyone with respect. David also started a small foundation to help caregivers like Rosa. The foundation offered training, fair wages, and better living conditions. Rosa became a leader in this project, helping other women gain confidence and skills. Her story inspired many. The family grew closer. David, Rosa, and Mia shared many happy moments, celebrations, quiet evenings, and new adventures. Their home was filled with love and laughter. David often thought back to that quiet night when he first saw Rosa on the floor. That moment changed everything. It reminded him that sometimes the smallest things can open our eyes to the biggest. Rosa's life was no longer just about giving. She was receiving love, respect, and the chance to build a better future. David's kindness showed her and many others that everyone deserves to be seen and cared for. Mia grew up with strong values, kindness, respect, and gratitude. She knew that the love in their home was the greatest gift of all. Their story became a lesson for many that wealth is not just what you have, but what you give. That care and respect can change lives. And that noticing the quiet sacrifices of others can bring hope where it is needed most. In the end, David, Rosa, and Mia showed the world the true meaning of family and kindness. Their lives were forever connected by love and respect, proving that even the smallest act of care can create a powerful change.